Hi and welcome to Top Tips Tuesday. This week's tip is for property investors and homeowners concerned about the recent changes to the interest rate. I know it's on the lips of most people. There is a lot of concerns out there. There's really a lot of misinformation as well. So we're here today to just explain a bit more detail and cover some of the information that's going to show it's not as actually scary as what a lot of the media points out. So we're relying on real statistics and real facts. So quite often in the media about interest rates and what the RBA cash rate is doing. So that's the rate that the RBA will lend to the banks. As we know, it just recently went up the first time for many years. Still lowest ever been in recent history. So the current RBA cash rate is 0.35%. Then on top of that, the banks need to make their profit margin. So they add their margin onto that cash rate, and that's the rate that you or I will pay as home buyers and homeowners. So we're currently paying the mortgage interest rate, generally somewhere obviously around that 2 to 3% currently. So a lot of information's come out and a lot of really bad forecasts about interest rates going up by 3% this year. Simply not true. Even the banks have recently reassessed the anticipated rates by the end of the year and quite dramatically reduced what they expected only 2 months ago. Much like when COVID came out and these experts are talking about property prices dropping by 30%, they absolutely got it wrong, and a lot of property owners missed out by not buying property because of the misinformation out there. So the reality is interest rates will rise, we know that. How's that going to affect the property market? So first of all, we need to look at how many homeowners or investors that's going to affect. 100% of home ownership and property ownership in Australia, about 33% of homeowners own their properties without a loan, without a mortgage, so they're not going to be affected by any of these interest rates. A further 33% are property investors. Generally, when you're buying property for investment purposes, you're buying property for the longer term, so those short-term changes in finance rates aren't going to affect you dramatically. We know there's a real shortage of rental accommodation, so most property investors at the moment with good property we're seeing rental increases. So our rental income is increasing, which is covering those interest rate cost increase as well. So we're not going to panic those changes at the moment. So there's a further 33% are homeowners that own their properties with a mortgage. So these are probably the group that's going to be affected most by the interest rate increase. But there's a lot of protection in place. The Australian banks have got very good credit ratings. Our Australian economy is going very strong. When the banks lend you or I money, they're assessing a repayment rate about 2.5% to 3% higher than we're currently paying. So there's a lot of safety factors in that. And we can see that and confirm that by the rate of default loans in Australia. So the last statistics that came out in December 21 showed the rate of default loans in Australia at just over 1.15%. So less than 2% were affected and needed to sell their properties as a stress sale. So a very small percentage. So of that 100%, only 33% are affected. Of that home ownership in Australia, less than 2% are being affected by those increased costs. So if you found this information valuable, you'd like to know a bit more in detail, we're actually coming to Sydney on the Saturday afternoon, the 25th of June, to explain about more interest rates, cash flows on properties, and those higher income type properties. So it's a live event, 2 p.m. Saturday the 25th of June, and it's going to be at Ridges, Parramatta, so plenty of on-site complimentary parking. So love to see you there and meet everyone in person. So there will be a link around the page somewhere. Click on the link, book in, and look forward to seeing you, and hope that information that was shared today has really helped explain a bit more about interest rates and the reality of the property market in Australia. Thanks.